Develop a fortune state of mind, state of mind. It's time for a date with, time for a date with the Dorseys.
Hey, welcome to another Date with the Dorseys. I am Dr. Jatan.
And I'm Floyd Dorsey.
Hence the Date with
Date
the Dorseys.
with the Dorseys.
And we have a great topic for
Phenomenal.
you. I mean, I know you could already guess that because that's every week.
That's the expectation.
We
you know
have
what?
set the
Now
standard.
greatness is just a norm, right? So
It
it's just
is.
really technically just a normal.
Not
time.
now. It's always been the norm.
Yeah.
It's the standard.
Well, I'm saying now it's just normal. That what we're going to do is great. So that's the new normal.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
Oh, well, it's always. All right. Let's go with it.
Okay. Well, today's topic is we had friends before lovers. Anybody ever know that song, Friends Before We Are Lovers? Y'all ain't never heard that song?
I think you're the
I said
only
y'all
one.
like everyone is here with us, but he looking at me. But that was probably before his time.
That's
So
right.
I know those people that
I'll take that.
that know what I'm talking about. You are familiar with that song, even though I don't have the vocals for you to truly hear the tone of the song. But that is what we're talking about today. Friends, we had friends before lovers. In other words, before we found our spouse, before we found our partner, our love, we had friends.
And they were occupying quite a bit of time.
Quite a bit of time. And friends could be cousins, it could be people that are friends that become family because they've been around so
there
long.
you go. Yeah. So what happened to them?
Right.
Where'd they go?
And we've talked about in previous topics about individuality, and we'll get into that in the points that we're going to talk about today. But that is a big deal when it comes to you having friends before you had a lover, because that was a sign of your individuality, right?
It was. It was a sign of you giving value to some other people and then receiving value in return, right? It was you sharing yourself with others, and that was a good way of you fulfilling your life or fulfilling yourself in other people's needs. And in that relationship, there lied the balance that made you feel more complete, balanced, or whole, for whatever that means, right, for each respective person. However,
some of us tend to forget that
we do.
when we feel like Prince Charming or Princess Charmer, or however you want to refer to it,
When
has
she
come
walked
along.
through the door, yes. Woo, everything stops. Let's
Everything
shut the world
stops,
down.
right?
I've been praying for this one.
Yes.
Been fasting. I've been doing everything
Yes.
under the sun to get this.
Matter of fact, may have been praying with your friends about it.
Didn't realize you were praying to put something in between your own relationship.
Exactly.
Oh, boy, that's a good one.
So that takes us into the first point, and that is all friends matter, right? Even after you find love. And what do we mean by that? We just talked about individuality and you having those relationships with your friends, and how important those relationships are, how you've made those like a center point, so to say, of your life. So you spent a lot of time with these people, but now that you found love, it's almost like your friends don't matter anymore.
Like
They feel like it. They feel like it.
And they feel like, oh, well, I don't want to get in the way.
Right.
I know you've been praying for this, and, or you haven't returned my calls, or I know you're probably always busy. Those type of things. And when in fact it may not necessarily be the case, right? I know that there's a saying where normally what people would say, married people, you need to hang around other married couples and not so much with your single friends. But I challenge that thought, because if you're genuinely truly friends, I think it's still important to foster that relationship and to nurture it altogether, regardless of the relationship status.
Yeah. I know for me, just to share a story, I had a friend or some friends that when I did get into a relationship, even before marriage, they just made the assumption that I didn't have time. So they would just not call me for those regular girl dates or whatever. And when we did get together, it's like, oh, well, I just thought you were busy because, you got that going on now. So you'll have friends that
right,
to your point, will make the assumption that because you're in a relationship, you no longer have time for them.
Right.
So it's important, I know for me, in learning that or realizing that, it was important for me to then make sure that I took the time out to reach out.
That's it.
Right. And making sure that they didn't feel like I was pulling away from them because of this relationship.
Right. And I think with that, it goes both ways, right? If you are in the relationship yourself, I think there's still an onus on you
Absolutely
to continue to nurture the relationship and reach out and do whatever you can to support or help, your friends like you were doing before. But also on the other side of that, the friend that's not in the relationship, right, that's on the other side, it's important for them to continue to keep that level of engagement. Now, granted, there will be probably some of your time won't be as much because there is somebody else who've come into their life to occupy it. However, I personally feel the expectation is still there for that relationship to continue to thrive as it always has been.
Right. And for the other person to not make the decision for you that you can't be or do with them anymore.
Absolutely.
Right. So give your friends the option to say, hey, I won't be able to do it this day, but we can meet up another day. And then on the other end, if you are the person that has found your love, so to say, then you want to continue to reach out to your friends so that you continue to have that bond and they know that you're there and available.
Absolutely. So here's one way how it could play out, though. And you may not even, if you're the one in a relationship, you may not even realize it, but you could be saying to your friend that's reaching out, hey, let's hang out. And you say, well, no, I have some other things. I already had plans. And then, then you start talking like, well, you have to get on my calendar. And then you start, you start throwing out those things while before you got into the relationship, It was, hey, let's go have a drink or let's go get together. Let's go.
Yeah.
So that, even though you're not saying I don't have time for you or whatever it may be, that change, that shift may be implied in such a way to the receiver on the other end that, hey, there are some things, there's a change over here in this other direction that I'm not a part of. And we haven't had a direct communication or conversation about it. However, I can sense when, I'm really not a part of this new person or their new relationship.
Right.
So I think the most important thing is when those changes do occur in any relationship or any capacity, that you must address the elephant in the room or have that conversation or have that dialogue so that the relationship can still flourish and grow.
Absolutely. Which takes us into the next point. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. This can work for both sides, though, right?
It does. It certainly does.
But from a friend perspective, to the point of us saying that, you may have a little less time to just hang out. But at the same time, when you do have the less time or more time apart and you come back together as friends, then that's just so much more that you have to catch up on. Right? And enjoy and figure out what's been going on either side and kind of just, start from there. And it sparks up that re-energizes or ignites that connection.
I think it does. Because if you look at it like this, before I was able to spend, let's say if it was 6 hours a week with you, but that has been reduced to 3 hours or whatever it may be. Those 3 hours are going to be the most impactful 3 hours that you've probably ever experienced with that particular person. So really take advantage of it, maximize that time, because you'll probably get more bang for your buck in those 3 hours than you were in the 6 hours that you were originally previously spending with that person. So enjoy it. And then it gives you a reason to look forward to the next 3 hour segment.
Absolutely. I know for me and my friends, with that absence makes the heart grow fonder. I realized that when we do get together, it ends up being a lot longer than we intended because we start talking about everything that's happened, everything that's going on. And, nowadays it's a little more boring as far as some people would consider it boring because it's not like you're going hanging out and dancing all the time. We may just be going to get some groceries, but we get to talk.
That's it.
We may get a drink when we sitting at the bar, but we get to chat. It's things like that, but it's so much richness in that conversation and that reconnection.
I agree, and that truly is the value of having good friends or friends to the core. Now, with that same thing, some of the people that you may really consider a friend, but they wasn't quite friends. For some reason, you just spent time with one another. They were just occupying time and occupying space. what we're saying may not apply to those relationships. However, because I don't think even those relationships may not sustain even if you were got into a new relationship, or got into a relationship with your spouse or significant other or not. So I would challenge anyone to say, is that truly a friendship that you have and that you're protecting? And if it really is a friendship, then it will, what we're suggesting and recommending, will make, again, it will flourish and will continue to be as special and powerful as it was before you got into your relationship with your significant other.
And if you hadn't figured that out before you established a love relationship, I think eventually as you start to build your life with your spouse, that those people that weren't necessarily friends will begin to kind of disappear on their own as well.
Sure.
I think that they'll start to pull back. At least I've seen that in some instances. And it just becomes null and void, right? And then you'll know if you really don't miss that relationship or that conversation, or you don't feel like, you don't feel that hole, that gap.
Wow, what was
right? What were we doing?
Anyway? Yeah.
So you start to ask those kind of questions, and you realize, hey, my time is better spent here.
Agreed. So the next thing you have to really consider is with your significant other that you're in a new relationship with, how do they feel about it, right? Do they, in some cases, that significant other wants all the time, maybe, right? Or maybe they're saying, no, I'm going to spend time with my friends too, so this is a great opportunity for you to go and be with your friends, and when we get back together, our moments will be
and that
just
takes
as
us
powerful.
to that ties into the topic we're on. The heart makes absence makes the heart grow fonder, which is why I was saying it goes both ways. Because from a relationship perspective, you being away with your friends gives you that time away from your spouse. Not that you need it. I'm not saying y'all don't want to be with your loved one, but it gives you that time away so that when you come back, now you got more to talk about, or you may have missed each other or whatever it is. And then it's a different energy about that.
That's it. And so some of the guys may feel that, wow, yes, I love spending time with my significant other. However, she can talk. Talk like none other. So you want her.
I don't know if he's talking about me or not, y'all.
You may want her to go really and spend time with her friends, because there's so much that she has to say. And you may, and a good opportunity for this with her friends. So when she comes back to you, it's a good mutual. She's gotten all that you all can build. And it really is important to balance out the relationship.
So the final point is in that if you are out spending time with your friends, then you're maintaining that separateness in a way that you had your individual self before you got into a relationship. And now that you're in a relationship, that doesn't mean that you neglect yourself or that, you forget about who you were before you came into the relationship. So having those connections and reconnections with your friends maintains that individuality in the relationship.
So, in the spirit of individuality, before you got into that relationship, you were a person that had dreams, had goals, had ambitions, and things you wanted to continue to do. It's important not to lose your self of identity, right? Not to lose your identity once you're in that new relationship. And part of that individuality and the person that you still are before that you were in a relationship, having those friends that you're spending time with, continue to do the things that you enjoy and pursuing your own individual goals will certainly be important, because I think it will balance out or continue to bring value to the whole relationship with you and your significant other. Now, not to say that it's all about an individual. Please don't mistake me for saying that. However, there is a certain balance, and I think that balance should be discussed and should be talked about and worked through with both parties.
So we have our 3 topics, and that's all friends matter, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and individuality. And these are the key thoughts, tips, treats that we shared during this session. As usual, it's not limited to those 3, but these are things we want you to consider as you are going into a relationship, or maybe even thinking about and praying about a relationship, or your relationship is growing, but you want to continue to maintain that relationship with your friends as well, which will in turn continue to make your relationship with your loved one even stronger.
Even stronger.
Okay, so if you guys have any questions, any suggestions, please make sure, as usual, to email us at support@fortuneenterprise.com. And remember, Fortune is spelled IVTUNE, enterprise.com. No S at the end. So that has been our topic for today. Thank you all for joining us another week. And bye for now.
Bye.
Develop a fortune state of mind, state of mind. It's time for a date with, time for a date with the Dorseys.